What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back, and today it'll be a new series for years to come. It'll be the MLB Top 100 re-rank of the MLB Network's 100 best players going into 2022. Today, we're going to be covering the honorable mentions that I thought should have made the cut, and obviously the 100 through 81 of the players that we re-ranked. But before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and hit that like button as well. Our first four honorable mentions. We have Mitch Haniger, Alek Manoah, Chris Sale, and Aroldis Chapman. The stats speak themselves for Haniger. I think, if he gets his average up to 270, puts up those same numbers or even better, he's in this list next year for sure. Manoah is a name to watch for next year. He had a really bright showing last year for the Blue Jays. That should say 112 innings pitched. And I think Chapman, if he bounces back, has another good year, gets that ERA down, he'll be back in this list. And I think the interesting name here that missed the list is Iglesias in Rendon. We know Rendon had an excellent year with the Giants, 2.37 ERA, and he's not on this list. That's very surprising to me. And Iglesias, for the Reds, 34 saves is a lot of saves, and pretty much he's the reason why the Reds had a very competitive season last year. But Dansby Swanson, great shortstop, but I just don't think that average is what got him into the list. Charlie Morton, is a great name. Tyler Glasnow probably would have made this list if he stayed healthy. Trevor Rogers is a name that could be in this list as well next year as an upcoming rookie for the Marlins. He's a stud, definitely under the radar. And Jorge Polanco for the Twins. It's going to be interesting to see how him and Correa can perform up the middle this year. But, some really good candidates here. And for the last, I think we got one more page after this. Jazz Chisholm is the player that I am going to talk about the most here. I think this kid is a young, Ricky Henderson possibly in the making with power. I know it's kind of an over-exaggeration on a comparison there. But if he can, get 30-30 every year, I mean, he's on pace to, be one of the greats for home runs and stolen bases at the second base position. So you got to give him credit. Definitely a name to watch out for there. Eloy Jimenez, if he can stay healthy, I think he can really play for the White Sox and really get them to where they need to be. And Luis Castillo is probably going to not be on the Reds before the trade deadline, but it'll be interesting to see how he can perform this year. And for the last page, these two are the biggest that I thought should have been on the list. Aaron Nola, Hyun-Jin Ryu, two really good guys, put up almost 200 innings last year. And the ERA, I think, is what held them back from getting on this list. But everything else is excellent. And, if they have great showings, get that ERA to under 4, I think they're both on this list. But for our first player, we have Cody Bellinger. Very generous. I don't even think he should have been on the list, in my opinion. Look at that. Just worst stats by far of any of these players that you'll see here. Only player on the list that has a minus WAR. I know Sippy's going to watch this and be complaining that I put him here, but he's still on the list. He played 95 games, but Cody Bellinger came to play in the postseason, and I think that's where it matters most. And, just another piece for the Dodgers to potentially win another World Series. 99, we got Clayton Kershaw re-signing with the Dodgers this offseason. 2 IL stints, and they just need him to be healthy. They already got a good rotation, but if he can stay healthy, have another excellent year, this Dodgers team is on pace for 100 or more wins. 98, we got DJ LeMahieu. Down year for sure in his perspective. I mean, that's still a really good year, but in 150 games, only 10 home runs, which was very surprising, 57 RBIs. He just couldn't come through last year, and I think he's going to be a huge bounce-back candidate this year. 97th, we got another bounce-back candidate, Christian Yelich. After winning MVP a few years ago, and now he had this year, and it's just like he completely fell off. Well, I think he's going to bounce back great. The Brewers probably are the favorites to win the NL Central as of right now. But that 15.9 WAR since 2018 obviously shows how much he means to this team. And they just need him out there for at least 140, 150 games and get those numbers up. Not much to be said here about Justin Verlander as he recovers from Tommy John. But, when he is healthy, hopefully he can resurrect his career. As you see that 2019 AL Cy Young, 21-6, 2.58 ERA, 300 Ks. I mean, just an excellent season from Verlander. And hopefully, if he comes back, maybe he comes back to the Tigers. I mean, I'd be down. So 95th, we've got Mark Strowman. signing with the Cubs in the offseason. And the one thing that he has shown is consistency. 32 or more starts in 4 of the last 5 full seasons. Obviously, he didn't play during COVID, but I think the ERA is the big number here. Very surprising when I looked at it. 3.02. I thought he was a lot worse than he was actually last year. He just got a lot of hate on Twitter just because he's, a very controversial person, putting his opinions out there. But you got to give him credit. Strowman is a really good player, and he's going to be the only bright spot, I think, of the Cubs this year. 94, we got Brandon Belt. I'm kind of surprised to see him on this list, in all honesty. But that NL best 11.2 at bats, he hits a home run, is a very good stat, and that's best in the league. So he deserves to be on this list. 29 home runs in only 97 games. That's a pretty good mark. Just imagine what he could have done last year if he played a full 162. But he's going to be another great spot for the Giants. And if they want to contend like they did last year, they did lose some pieces. But if they want to be the same team, he's got to perform. 93, we got Nelson Cruz signing with the Nationals this offseason, with the new DH. Of course, he went to the National League, and he's not going to play on the best team, but I think he will be traded before the deadline. The Nationals won't compete, but he's going to have a great year, another great year at age 40, 41, I think. He just continues to hit and have his best years of his career, but I do expect him to be on a different team by the deadline. 92, we got Jack Flaherty. If he can be healthy this year, he will probably move up in our list next year. He's a very solid pitcher. And if the Cardinals really want a shot to win the division, their pitching is going to have to get them there. We know Goldschmidt and Arenado can really hit and carry this lineup, but the pitching is the biggest concern for the Cardinals. 91, we got Lucas Giolito, and 526 Ks since 2019, which is second in the American League, which is an insane stat. 201 Ks last year, little over 1K an inning. That's pretty good. And the whip at, so right around 1. So I believe that if he has another year like this, the Sox are going to eventually run away with the division in the late. We've got a lot of White Sox players on this list, so stay tuned. 90th, we got Wainwright, the other Cardinals pitcher that I just mentioned that needs to have a good year. And 32 games started last year. MLB best 5 complete games since 2020. And if they can get this consistency, just an exact replica of what he had last year, the Cardinals will very well competing for a playoff spot. 89, we got the newly acquired third baseman for the Blue Jays, Matt Chapman. One of my favorite players, one of the best defensive third basemen in the league, and 19.9 WAR since 2018. Yes, that 210 average is not the best, but on base percentage of 314 is very, very good for that 210 average. But when he hits the ball hard, puts it in play. And that's why he has 27 home runs, 151 games. He's a very consistent player, hasn't really had a big injury, but the Blue Jays definitely upgraded for sure. 88th, we got Willie Adames, 4.2 WAR, and he was the key for Milwaukee to win the division last year. Won 30 more games. Obviously record-wise, 500. Since he got acquired, they were sitting around 500 before the deal and immediately bolstered that team, took them to a new level. And we're going to be, interesting to see here if he can, replicate what he did last year and continue his success in Milwaukee. 87, we got Joey Vado, the man, the myth, the TikTok legend. Go check out his TikToks if you haven't. Home run in 7 straight games, 1 shy of an MLB record. That's pretty good if you do say so myself. Putting up some good career numbers around his averages all last year. And he's going to be interesting to see if the Reds are going to deal him away around the deadline or not, or if he's just going to keep playing for the Reds. 86, we got a very disappointing season last year from Anthony Rendon. Only 58 games. He got hurt, but in the seasons before, he's received MVP votes in all 4 of those seasons. He is going to be the biggest factor for the Angels. If he can play well, stay healthy, this Angels team is, not the favorite in the AL West right now, but he could make them the favorite if he stays healthy. 85, we got Yoan Moncada, 9.8 WAR since 2019. Pretty good stat there among the AL. And he's getting production. I think the average needs to go up a little bit. He hits the ball hard, but he makes up for it with his on-base percentage, drawing walks. And he's just going to be another key piece for the White Sox for years to come. Another player for the White Sox, Luis Robert. He has to stay healthy. That's the number one thing looking at this. 68 games, hitting 338, 378 on base percentage, absolute tear. And if he can stay healthy, this White Sox team is going to be a very dangerous team. 83, we got Jose Barrios. And I think the new location is going to absolutely benefit him in Toronto. We saw last year once he got dealt, he had an excellent season. And I'm very high on him this year. I think he can be a top 10 pitcher this year, really put it all together this year and carry the Blue Jays to potentially 82. We got Jonathan India, NL Rookie of the Year last year, and he deserved it. I mean, look at those numbers on your screen right there. He played 150 games, really was very consistent, hitting around 270, on base percentage of almost 380. And if he can keep this up, I think he can get some MVP votes. He just needs to get that average up a little more, but expect a big season from him as well. Last, we got Lance McCullers coming in at 81. And what is the biggest thing for the Astros this year? They're pitching. That's the question. Everyone's talking about, oh, they lost Correa. How are they going to replace him? But pitching is always the biggest concern, I think, for the Astros. They always can find guys to, fill positions and somehow, some way get it done. But pitching is the biggest question mark, and McCullers is going to have to lead that charge. If he can be the guy, pretty much have an exact replica season, I think the Astros are going to be just fine in the AL West. But that's going to be it for the video today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Let us know what you think your 100 through 81 are the honorable mentions, who got snubbed in your opinion. But until the next time, the bench buddies are out.
She never called back.